Oh, wow. I love having an interview with just a fan.
A fabulous fan.
Because, bitch, she's fabulous.
Mhm.
But, oh,
Who is it?
I don't know. I have no clue.
That shit is killing me.
It's Sarah Logan,
will-
isn't it?
Oh,
Surprise! It's me. I bet you never saw me coming.
what?
Wait,
Right.
I'm so surprised.
I'm so gagged right now.
I mean, yeah. It's not like it says it in the title or that the name is right underneath me.
Oh, this is
I had
gonna
no
be
idea.
Fun. This is going to be fun. But hello, and welcome to the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality, and you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I'm Logan Murphy. Say something gay. Gay, I am just drinking water because hydration is very important, and we've got a long day of talking to fabulous, fabulous people.
Absolutely.
Not Chloe. No, I'm kidding.
Which I was just about to say, which were not available, so we went for Chloe Clarke.
Exactly. Correct.
Absolutely. But hey, since I am one of the fabulous people, I am Lana, your resident evil diva, and I'm here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink the tea because you know I love me some tea. Her. And I will say I was the first person to pick Chloe Clarke for my draft, period. And I do it again and again and again and again. Just wanted to put that out there. But I'm drinking water. Yeah, hydration, important, great. If I was drinking anything else, I would drink it out of my cup mug. And you can get your cup mug at LanaDeCreations.etsy.com, where the link will be in the description below. And we do ship definitely to the US, Canada, and Mexico. Now, internationally, there are some excuses that we're working on it, but we'll figure it out. And when I know, you'll know. So get
We're
your cup mug.
we're working on shipping to Belgium as we speak. So
Period. We're working on it. We one step closer. So get your cup merch or your cup mug, anything. And yeah, period. Thanks.
Well, I'm David Healy, and I don't have a cute intro. And I don't have a cute shirt either because I don't have a Chloe Clarke shirt yet, and I need to buy one because I see they are available. Oh,
Ooh.
so I need to get one of those. I found it on a website earlier today. I'm like, okay, let me buy one of those because I need one. But I am just drinking some water right now.
great.
Yay.
And even though we've said her name at least 10 times so far in this 3 minutes so far, who are you exactly?
What's it called? Beetlejuice?
That part. Oh,
You
But
call
yeah,
it
for anyone who has not watched Drag Race Belgique, I am Chloe Clarke, ended 5th on Drag Race Belgique Season 2. And yes, I have merch, which is available for all international shipping well, if you just want t-shirts, I have them. If you're from around, I have them at my place. Anything else, I have tote bags, mugs, t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies, all available on Snatched merch. I can't remember.
It's Snatch merch, I think.
Snatched merch, yeah. So it's all available in there. There's multiple colors, and yeah, go buy some if you want. If you don't want, it's not obliged.
I don't think we've ever had a queen do a merch plug after we do our merch plug at the start of the episode, and I love it. I love it so
And
much.
she one-upped us because she's like, and I can ship internationally.
I'm like, oh.
She is internationally shipping.
It's nothing personal, it's business.
Absolutely.
The shade of it all felt very personal.
The minute that promo came out, I had everything ready. I was like,
of course you did.
You're not going to clock me on not having everything ready, right?
Absolutely.
Good. But Chloe, welcome to the cup. We're so happy to have you finally.
Thank you. I've been a big fan. I've been following every podcast streams. How do you say it? Streaming so far.
Videos, all the things.
Yeah.
Well, we are so happy to have you on as yet another. We're like the Thanos of collecting interviews from Drag Race Belgique season 2.
Yeah.
we're trying to get everybody.
Well, I heard I wasn't the first, but it's fine. I mean, I won't.
You're the third. You're the third.
Which is better than my ranking.
You moved up 2 spots.
I'll take that.
You sure did. But we're so excited to talk to you all about your drag because, spoiler, we love you and your drag. That if you didn't already know from us talking incessantly on the season recaps about how much we love your drag. We're excited to talk about you, your drag, your journey, that god-awful acting challenge, and everything in between.
And the thing is now, like, I don't know why, but I keep just getting all these, like, there was the new released movie of like the I don't know, the follow-up, the Murder in Venice or something.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
And now I've had on today on TikTok something of like a in the UK that they were doing a restaurant which is like in that same team. And I was like, oh my gosh, why do I keep seeing it?
It's gonna be everywhere.
Yeah, of course.
It's going to be everywhere. And we're going to help you relive all of those moments too, because that's what we do here.
I'm looking forward to it.
But yes.
We'll start off on a great note for me because like I said in my intro, I picked you in my draft team first. You were my first pick because your promo was everything. I was like, if this is her promo, she is going to eat this competition down. And when I say you did that, did you ever miss on the runway? Absolutely not.
Well, there's that one episode.
I don't know what episode you're talking about because I thought you ate down in every episode.
Episode 2?
Look, that didn't get released in America. We only saw episode 1 and 3.
Yeah, we didn't.
I don't know what you mean, but I fell in love with your fashion on that runway. I was like, Chloe is just eating this competition down with, like, I don't care about the challenges. You can do really good or really bad in the challenge, whatever. But every time you put on something, it was amazing. Even when you did the girl group and y'all had the neon, I was like, yeah, Chloe's the best dressed in this group. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I'm sorry, but you ate down. What your fashion? Where did it come from? Were you just born fabulous, Chloe? Were you just born amazing? Because
I to be honest, I don't know. It's not like I put a big effort in, like, I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm the most fashionable. I think I am very thought out, as in, like, for me, it needs to be a concept from A to Z. Meaning that, you know, if I do something 80s, the hair needs to be 80s, the accessories need to be 80s, everything needs to be 80s. And, you know, just take an example. But yeah, it's more, I think it's more that I'm all about details, and I think that makes a good ensemble, let's say, like one piece.
And that's something that I've noticed now, having watched 2 seasons of Drag Race Belgique, is it really, and I said it with Gabbana, and I said it with Alvilda, and I'll say it here, like, it really feels like these 2 casts, and the essence I'm getting of Belgian drag is just clean, concise, polished, thought through. Like, that is just what I get, and that's the impression that I've gotten now from 2 seasons of Drag Race Belgique, and that was clearly evident through everything you did. It was a concept top to bottom. And you could tell that you had thought of every single thing to go with everything that you presented on the show, including your promo, which we did already talk about a little bit. But walk us through the promo. When you got the floral theme, what were you thinking? What was your preparation for Drag Race like? And how did you feel knowing you were probably going in with a bit of a language barrier? Because that was not something that was touched on a lot on the show, but definitely a prevalent part of your experience.
Well, just because obviously the promo was shot after after filming, so I don't know what you want me to cover first.
Any or all of the above. I melded 4 questions.
Yeah, it was a lot to throw at you.
However you would like to reply is great.
So let's just first get promo out of the way.
Sure.
Well, it sounds like it's something bad. But my promo look, so they told us that it was floral, and we had a selection that we could do of color combinations.
Okay.
Now for me, I like contrast, and a lot of it was very pastel-y. And then when I saw like the peach and the purple, and I knew that I could go a little bit darker with the purple, I was like, okay, there's quite a bit of contrast in there, or at least it's an interesting mix. So I have picked them 2 colors, and for me, I like Pinterest a lot to come up with ideas. Like you see sketches and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I had seen a sketch of someone who had like very big sleeves. However, we knew it was going to be, you have to be able to move. It has to be a little bit comfortable. I'm not saying you have to do a lot, but still, you want to make sure that you can move, because you need to sell yourself for the first time that the audience will see you. So we didn't go with the big arm pieces, because also it was a sketch, so it's not always you can sketch it, but can you actually make it?
It's not always the most realistic sort of
design,
exactly, as much as you may like it.
Yeah, so we went with the sides. I could take them off if I wanted to, but it wasn't necessary. It wasn't necessary. So we went with that idea, and then we sketched out, my designer sketched out a few ideas. Obviously, we were shooting at the same time because we had the brief for the promo before going into the competition. But then we only had a few weeks after. So I was like, that outfit is gonna take some time. I wanted something really good, and I was like, I'm putting money aside for my promo, because this is the first idea that I get from you, first impression. And on top of that, that in every flyer, in every event that you will do,
that's what I was going to say.
They will use our promo picture. So I was like, I better look the part. So that's why. And I went pretty good with my promo. I was like, I want
pretty good.
Well, I was like, I want to be one of the best looking ones in terms
you were.
And because I also knew that was going to be the one thing that World of Wonder for sure would also put online. And I know that there's it's not just Belgium, it's an international audience. I was like, let's make sure that they're like, ooh, who is that? Where was she from?
And we sure did.
That's what I did. That's kind of promo. There's not much other idea that went into it. I just wanted matching hair. Now I did have some struggles with the hair artist. It was not what I wanted, especially not for the money that she asked. So I told her, and she was very angry. Guess what? I didn't have to pay, so.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I'm not going to further say who it is, because a lot of people, I know that queens who have seen my promo and have seen the wig know exactly where it's from, and yes, it's from there, and that's all that we're going to cover. And other than that, obviously the season was a challenge in terms of like speaking French. I think what a lot of people like underrate is, for an example, Gabbana. It's also not her first language, but she has been living, I think, for 3 years in Brussels, if I'm not mistaken.
She's at 7, I thought.
7, okay.
7 in Belgium.
I think she always, let's say 3 years in Brussels. I'm not 100% sure, but
at least 3, potentially more.
in Brussels. I think before that she
Yeah.
lived in Antwerp. I'm not sure.
Sure.
But so for 3 years she's been speaking the language every day. Now I had worked in Brussels before that, but it was already 2 years that I had not
Mhm.
been speaking French on a daily basis. So you forget a lot. And like you
Yeah.
go in and you're like, oh well, it needs to come back to me. And it took
Yeah.
a while. Eventually it did kind of come back. But yeah, it was definitely a struggle.
Yeah.
Especially because you're nervous and you're exhausted at some point.
Mhm.
And like even with English, I speak quite fluent English, but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, when I'm getting tired, it starts to become
You
more
lose a
difficult.
little bit of it.
Yeah, to come up with words and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, if French, I don't even speak half French than I do English.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely tricky.
Because
Mhm.
you were the only queen from the Dutch side of Belgium on this
No,
season.
Star was as well.
Oh, Star was. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And it was the same for Star, like confessionals for us, because confessionals were at the end of the day.
Mhm.
We were always like, oh my gosh, now we still have to do this.
No.
Hated it so much. And then they didn't use a thing. That's what I'm like. We've been spending hours and hours doing confessionals, and you don't show a thing. Oh, do you know what I could have done with that time?
Right. I could have made my outfit better. Duh.
Yeah,
But I was-
exactly. For the design challenge,
yes.
called me in for the confessionals, and I was like, "Do we really have to do that now?"
Mhm.
And they were like, "Yeah," and I said, "But that's time that you're taking away from my for my design challenge." And they were like, "Yeah, but everyone has to do it." And I'm like, "Fine, but it's taken me longer to do these confessionals." Not that that's an excuse, because
Of course.
after like half an hour or 45 minutes, they were like, "Yeah, let's just round up and let's continue tomorrow." And I was like, "Yes, I don't want to waste time on this." It was like, "So can you talk about this?" "Yeah, sure." "So this," and they're like, "Nothing else?" And I was like, "Nope, I want to go back to the workroom. I need to
Right.
continue."
I need to finish. That's crazy.
Well, I do want to know how you got cast for Drag Race Belgique, and if you ever had consideration of trying a different franchise, even though you lived in Belgium.
There's no other option.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Is like, sure, there was the Netherlands, and
Yeah.
when they were casting for season 2, I was kind of already a bit more into looking more the part, let's say. And I was thinking about it, but because they always said that you need to have an address and you had to have an address in the Netherlands, you cannot apply. So like Cedrine lives in Amsterdam and in Antwerp, so she had
Oh, okay.
Vanessa does not have an address in the Netherlands, but she knows someone who did have an address in the Netherlands.
Mhm.
I'm not going to go too far out with that. So yeah, I did not. And then the Netherlands stopped. There was no season 3, and you can't apply for an English one if you're not
Yeah.
from the UK or from, I don't know, and I don't speak Spanish. Definitely.
Well, now the possibilities are endless, and we'll touch more on that later.
Yeah.
But yes, you walk in, you're
Your
there.
anxious look. Your
I
anxious
walk
look.
in shitting my pants,
Yep.
sweating my ass off. I was sweating because my entrance line, that was not my entrance line. I mean, well, I don't even remember what it was. Something decal. I was like, I have no idea. So my original idea, because my entrance look was not my planned entrance look.
Mhm.
It was something else. It was not on
Oh.
time. So I already had that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which some people are like, "Do you really have this in your closet?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Yes.
I have
Absolutely.
this in my closet because what?" And
Yes.
yeah, no, it was a look I already had, and it was made in the Philippines. Like it would never have been on time
Yeah.
in that short time frame that you have. So it was going to be a little bit more cunt, let's say, a little bit more fierce. So I was
Yeah.
going to walk in and I was going to do a reference to Friends, you know, where Joey and Phoebe like do the French talking thing.
Mm.
Do you know that? I would have done
Oh,
that.
Yes,
of course I
yes.
do.
Like,
Oh, of course I do.
like, oh, je m'appelle Chloé, je m'appelle Chloé. Okay, and then look at the camera, then whoop, whoop, and then turn around. But yeah,
I
because it
love
was
it.
a reference to like I don't speak French, you know.
Yeah.
But they were like, you can't reference friends, and I was like, but I'm not talking about friends. Like it's just a reference to, and then because I was walking in with the big butterfly dress, I was like maybe something a bit more elegant. And there was a meme. I don't know if you've seen the meme, where there's like a girl. She sits in the car and she points to
Yes.
a gay flag and she's like, "Look, it's le je ne sais quoi." And so because it seems very fancy, I was like, let me just walk in and say like, oh, for you guys, it's Madame le je ne sais quoi. They didn't get it. They were like, we don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, yeah, but it's a meme. And if you haven't seen it, you haven't seen it. And they're like, yeah, but then you can't do it. And I'm like, so I'm
Why
walking
not?
in and saying, let's fly off. But what's the purpose in that? Except for I'm a butterfly and I walk in and I was like, oh God, okay. So I was already like stressed the fuck out to just walk in. So
Yeah.
that was my entrance.
Lovely.
Well, it was great. And you know, I actually looked back at, so we keep record of all the scores we gave out throughout the season.
Mhm.
And I noticed, including the promo looks, my 4 highest scores were all Chloe Clarke looks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was
Absolutely.
your promo look, your entrance look, your episode 1 look, and then your finale look. Those were my
Episode
four
one.
tops.
Yeah, episode 1 look was. I'm looking at it right now. Literally, it's so good.
Yeah, it was a bit.
Can you explain that a little bit? Because I know that you mentioned it on the show, but I still want to know. So it was National Downpour,
Yeah.
and I think it was a very high concept for National Downpour compared to everybody else, and I still don't know that I quite get it, but I do not care because I thought it looked stunning. So can you please explain the
So
National Downpour of it all?
yeah, so the team was International, which is indeed national downpour. Now there was no need for you to use the actual colors of the Belgian flag. So that was it's a way of saying it's just a very rainy day, basically.
Sure.
So my idea was I had followed this designer for years and years already. He's from Spain, and I knew that he like the fabric is like a kind of raincoat fabric. Yeah? So I was thinking, okay, what if we don't actually do it, but what if we take a jacket, we deconstruct it, and we panel it just to have a different way? It covers my entire body. However, I don't know if you've seen on Instagram, I have the leg pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
And you have the black part too,
Yes.
and the
So
jewels.
it was like fully. So say if you would wear a poncho when it rains, you're covered. You know.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let's take a deconstructed jacket, cover it up like it's a poncho. It covers my entire body, including my legs, and that was kind of the idea. But obviously, the legs have these foot things attached to it, and it's so long that it crawls under your foot, under your shoe. So I could not walk with it on the runway because that was the first runway. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be walking there like someone who just shit in his pants. And I'm sorry if I can't curse on this.
You're right.
You are more than okay, honey. You can say whatever you want.
So I did not want to look like I can't walk for the first runway, you know? So obviously it made less sense. And then they were like, what does this stand for? And I was like, I don't know. And they were like, it looks a bit like water drips. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Absolutely it is. That was the concept all along, of course. Thank you for getting it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no. So that was the actual, and I knew it was going to be a stretch, but I was like, I know, and this is going to be a little bit shady, but I know everyone is going to walk on there. It's going to be either plastic or it's going to be plastic or coat, and then the hair, the wigs are all going to be wet. Like it's all going to be, and lo and behold, it was exactly that. And as much as the judges did not understand, at least I got a lot of praise for it not being another.
It was so different from everything else that at least it was like, oh, something that's not plastic or wet hair or crystals or, you know, anything like that.
Yeah, and the hair was like, it was a wet look because, you know, with the hairspray and stuff, it looks wet, but it was just with an actual structure, just to make it a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
But I completely understood the feedback, and I've never disagreed with what the judges said until episode 6.
As you should.
Mm-hmm.
As you should.
But I do want to. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to ask about your talent show because I think there might have been a little bit of a controversy because clearly you've been dancing for 20 something years, correct?
No, hold on. Yes, and we need to talk about this.
Please do.
Apparently, there's the way we say it in Flemish. I had clearly not danced for 20 years. Yeah. So if the way we say it in Flemish, if you translate it literally, it's like what I said in French. However, apparently that's not the way you say it. So some people that speak French that know a bit of Flemish, they understood what went wrong with me saying that. But production knew I had not danced in 20 years. They knew. I'm not sure why they played on it and like let Morphe say, you know, she's been dancing for 20 years. I'm like, are we talking about this? Why would you say, but in the workroom they ask, who's nervous? And I say, I am. Why would I be nervous if I've been dancing for 20 years? Right. I've not danced. So imagine this, right? We're sitting at the premiere. Yeah. There's 200 people, 250 people behind us. I'm sitting there, right? And during confessionals, they asked me, they were like, so how did you feel about the talent show and the fact that you've been dancing for 20 years? And I say, in the confessionals, I said, I've not danced for 20 years. And they were like, no, that's not what you said. And I said, well, I have not danced for 20 years. So I knew that it was mentioned in confessionals. Here's us sitting at a premiere. Alvina was sitting right next to me. Talent show comes on, and I'm like, no, wait, we're in the workroom and we discuss who's nervous. And I see the subtitles in English, and it says, I've been dancing for 20 years. And I'm like, oh my fucking God.
No.
And I was like, oh my fucking God. And so I turned to Alvila and I was like, did you also read that it says that I've been dancing for 20 years? And I was like, it's fine. And then they showed Morphe, who was saying, like, you know, she's been dancing for, and I'm like, what's going on? And then, and I said to Alvila, I said, why is my confessional not coming up where I say, like, oops, you know, my bad. I meant, can you come up?
No.
No. Did you know?
When that episode was finished, I can assure you, I stood up. We had to go take pictures. I passed production and I said, I don't know, it's fine. And I said, we're going to talk. I said, you stay here, take a picture, and then we're going to talk. And he was like, no, we're not. And I said, oh, yes, you are. I said, you are 100% going to stay here. I said, because we need to talk. And then, Rita Barga saw on my face that something was up, and she was like, what's wrong? And I said, what's wrong is that they knew that I have not danced for 20 years. I said, I don't care with the way I did. I knew that it was shit. The minute I had done it, I knew it was shit. And I was fine with that. I can own that. But what I don't want is for people to be thinking that I would be doing something for 20 years
and look like that. Right.
It's not like I'm unaware of whatever's happening in my life, you know, because that's kind of how it seemed. And so I explained them, and they were like, you know, we can fix it tomorrow morning. And I said, absolutely not. I said, now. And they were like, Yeah, but we have to contact Wow Presents because it's everywhere that those subtitles are being used. And I said, well, they're in America, so it's still early for them. You can definitely have it done, and they did. They confirmed with an email. But I was very angry.
As you
They
should
got to
be.
This is the thing. I'm someone who's very calm. I can process. Like if I've processed something, I'm fine. But if you're around at that very time, oof, oof, I went berserk. I was, oh God, no.
I love it. Well, and that's one of the things that we had talked about throughout the season too, is like, we love this cast and you're all very, very good at drag. But we said it too. The production value didn't seem to be up to the standard of drag that you all were bringing, and that Rita was presenting as the host.
Yeah, I think they definitely have their work cut out. I will say, I mean, they took great care of us, and I
Good.
I definitely don't want people to think that like because it's a lower production value in terms of what they bring that we have not been taken care of. Not at all. But yeah, they have their work cut out. It's also very obvious that they're doing it for their public, so for the Belgian viewers, and it's not like it's something for they don't. I'm not gonna say they don't care because I don't know, but they don't do it for an international viewer because that's Wow Presents. That's not for them.
It just so happens to be also airing internationally.
Yeah, exactly. Very that.
Yeah.
Which you can see.
A little bit.
And you were also a part of the first lip sync, which means the very first double Shantae, right?
It's not a double Shantae. Let's get that out of the way.
Chloe Clarke won the first lip sync.
Yeah, if it's a double Shantae, they say, Shantae you both say. Which was not what was said. It was
was said later in the season.
Yes.
After you left.
Said, Chloe Shantae you say, Gabana Sashewe. Then she got a second chance, which is different. It's different.
It's more akin to the way Candy Muse was treated on season 13, as opposed to. But that first lip sync, you all did the damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was. I mean, the first one is always a bit like, you're biting a bullet.
I was gonna ask how you were feeling going into that, knowing you had already, in your words, done shit.
Yeah. Oh, I knew it was going to be me because first of all, that talent show was horrible, and then second, I knew that the look was misunderstood or not really understood. So I knew I was up for elimination 100%. So I was quite calm in my mind going into that. The only thing I didn't know was, okay, who am I going to be going up against? And Gabbana, I knew before the season. So I knew Star, Gabbana, and that's it. Before the season, yeah. So obviously it had to be against someone that I already knew.
Of course.
I knew that Gabbana could bring it. But from the start, for me, it was very much, Gabbana gives a lot of energy. And which is great. But for me, she gave energy from the start, but she could not maintain it. To my opinion.
I would agree with you.
Yeah, she went
in that lip sync specifically. I agree.
With the wig, and I instantly thought, too soon.
I love that. I love that.
So I stayed quite calm right before. It's a little bit like nerve-wracking, but it's normal. Like it's the first time that you have to do a lip sync, and you have to go up against someone that you know. But yeah.
And then the second episode comes, and a similar fate falls on you in our lovely, lovely monochromatic rainbow design challenge, where they didn't give you adequate materials.
Right. And we all had you safe, for the record. All three of us.
We did all have you safe.
I mean, I agreed with me being in the bottom, to be honest. I did not want to come out of my room. They had to come and get me. I was like, no, there's no way. I said, I'm not going on the runway with that. Not happening. And then they came to my room, and I was like, you know what? Lala Ree walked on that fucking
She
stage
sure did.
with that bag look. I said, let's just do it. Let's just get it over with.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And it was actually really because I had seen Lala Ree with that bag look. I was like, come on, it's not that bad if you compare it to that.
Shout out to the Lala Ree experience. We love her.
Absolutely. And Jiria had texted me. I can't remember what it was. Had she texted me the week before or the week after? Oh, she said that she had just started watching the episode, and I told her, I said,
Oh, yeah.
get ready. And I told her, I said, I was very happy that I had seen Lala Ree in that bag look. And she was like, is it that bad? Because it was that bad and it was iconic. And I was like, it's not going to be that bad. And it's also not going to be that iconic. But, so yeah, I had to do that. And I knew I was going to be in the bottom. Again, it was not sure who I was going to go up against. But like when we were busy with sewing and stuff, I thought it was going to be me and Alvila.
Mm.
And I was like, they're kicking me out. There is no way after episode 1 that they are going to keep me. So I was like, yep, I'm still going to be the fucking pork chop.
Right.
Yes, who's going to leave first? Like, really? Until we were on the main stage and we got critiqued. Because I knew, I was like, yeah, I'm gone. Leaving, bye.
Yeah.
And then when Alvira got her critiques, I was like, oh wait, she's not in the bottom.
Wait just a minute.
And then like, no shade to Sarah, but when I heard like the comments of Sarah, I was like, oh, there's still a shot.
I have a chance.
I have a chance.
God, if they would have filmed my face changing when I found out, because it went from a beaten up dog to be like, oh, maybe I can still do it.
Very kombucha girl, like,
yeah.
No. Oh, yeah.
And it was, I knew what I wanted to do with the song. It was like, I was probably the only one who was every evening I was listening to that MP3 and I literally was like, okay, the song is going to start. I'm going to go to the entrance of the stage. I'm going to do a slow turnaround, like really thought it out fully. I was saying it to Alvila before we went on for like who wins and who's bottom. I was like, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to turn around, then I'm going to go there. And it was really like thought out, which is exactly what I did.
And it was so good because I love Hooverphonic too, and I love that song. And I knew the song, and I was like, oh, I know what Chloe can bring because we just saw it in episode 1. I was like, she is going to. I told my roommate because we were watching it together. I was like, she's about to clear this.
Like, the thing is, I think a lot of people seem to be forgetting that it's a lip sync and you're supposed to embody the song because some people are like, oh, Sarah won, and she did great.
She did.
But it was not what the song was about. Like, the song is about seducing. You're mad about someone. You're so crushed. You're so in love. And she was not given that.
Yeah, I said she was kind of manic and desperate. Like, it was a little like, she gave energy, but it was not winning energy for me.
Yeah, it was the wrong kind of energy for what the song asks for. But again, the editing, I was like, I saw that lip sync and I was like, really? This is what you're showing us? And especially what I found so strange, especially, and that's at some point it changes, is that normally they show the person who wins the most. They did not, I saw Sarah the whole time and I was like, wait, are they going to tell me that I have to sashay? I was like, I've been there. She goes, not me.
I experienced it. I know she goes home, but
it was so different that I was like, wait, what are they doing? Like, why are they not doing what they always do on other franchises? But
that comes back to, there were we talked about it all season 2. There's a lot of questionable editing choices. That don't feel, for me, and I don't know if this is 100% true, but having watched every franchise of Drag Race, for me, it felt like these editors specifically had never watched Drag Race and didn't know how to edit Drag Race.
They've done season 1, most of them.
That was it. It seemed like.
Well, let me tell you, when we did the reading challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all know that when they say read, because reading is what?
Fundamental.
Right? It was not said.
It was not said.
You brought that up.
I was like, what happened to the fundamental?
No. During confessionals, I was like, so we didn't say like because reading is what, but I said it's fine. What you can do is I'll say it in the confessionals, and then you can add it. And they were like, "What do you mean? What are you going to say?" And I'm like, "Well, what we always say, because reading is what fun." And they had no idea what I was talking about. I was like, "Oh my god!"
Thank you for validating all of my feelings, because the whole season I was just like, "What is this editing? What is happening?" Like, it seemed like all they wanted to do was take the smallest moments that didn't mean like that weren't like super impactful and turn them into these big things to tease for the next episodes, which worked. I mean, we saw Alvilda breaking down in confessional. We'll talk about Star and Gabbana in a bit, but like they hyped up those moments when those moments didn't like it wasn't a payoff. Like those are not the moments necessarily that made the episode all that grandiose and dramatic and all of that stuff. So thank you for validating all of my feelings about the editing of this season.
I just want to add, because I also don't want to get in trouble.
Of course,
it's not that they don't want to do it. I think it's more it's still a learning curve, and
they're not used to drag.
And they want to do it their own way, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And that's definitely valid and a style. Just as someone who's watched as much Drag Race as I do, and probably you've watched as much Drag Race as you do, like we're used to a similar sort of pattern with a bit of flair added per country, and that's what I've noticed. And with this, it felt so completely left field as far as editing was concerned. And so the whole season, I was just sitting there like, I don't know what I don't feel like these people have seen Drag Race, know Drag Race.
Yeah.
And to know that, is the case. It's still good editing. It's just not what I'm used to watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was episode 2. So then I didn't leave. I thought I was going to get a lot of hate because I was like, oh, wow, they're going to be like, send this bitch home. She's been in the bottom twice already. But I didn't, actually.
And when they called you for critique in episode 3 after that girl group challenge, my mind really went, they're about to put her in the bottom.
It was because of the trip on the runway.
Yeah.
Same.
We were like, she's going to be in the bottom because of that?
It was like the nonsense of this. They're going to put her in the bottom and they're going to send her home Samantha Valentine style. And I cannot have that because she did well.
See, the thing is, and this was a little bit shady. I was that episode. Wait, was it episode 3? Yeah. So episode 3, production had said to me, like, just after the premiere, they were like, the first 2 episodes are going to be a bit tricky for you, but after that, episode 3, you'll see everyone will fall in love with you. And I saw episode 3, and I was like, what the actual?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
The thing is, for me, is episode 3 is one of my least favorite episodes of all of them. And I'll tell you why. Because when we did the girl group challenge, we had 2 takes. So each group got 2 takes, and we were individually judged on our best take out of the 2. Now, in my second take, I tripped. I unbalanced a little bit. When we turned around, I lost my balance, and I kind of leaned forward, and they used that one. And I was like, but you've judged me on my first one was flawless. There were no mistakes. So the judges judged me on my first take, but you are showing the second take. So for the audience, for the viewers, it doesn't make sense. So when someone else who has a podcast with 2, we're not going to call them out, but when those 2, they said like, she tripped during the thing, so it's not good. And I was like, they're right, but they don't know that I've been judged on the first take, which you don't see.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was very annoyed with that. And then also because we had both groups had 2 takes, I was confused why there was being said in the confessionals that I should be in the bottom, because we all said to each other, no one had a fucking idea. Because you've been in 2 groups of 4, you haven't seen the other group perform, and we did 2 takes. So
Yeah. And I wanted to ask about that too, because it kind of came out of left. I don't know if we want to name her, but it almost felt like there was something outside of the show where a certain contestant didn't gel with you. I'm very curious what was going on there. I'm just gonna say it was Morphe. She just really confused me in this episode with how she was talking about you. How did
was
you feel watching that?
was it that episode? Oh
Oh,
yeah,
it,
that episode.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So I always got the feeling that when we were in the hotel eating breakfast, um, I don't know what we were talking about. It was not about, I don't think it was about drag. It was definitely not about the competition, but we were talking about something, and I shared my opinion on it in English. And I remember that she said to me, "Oh, yes, finally tell us how you really feel." And at that moment, I didn't react to it, but at that moment I knew that she had an opinion about me or an idea of me, that I was like, oh, okay, so we're starting to like have ideas of people. So that for me confirmed like, oh, she has a certain idea of me which might not be in line with who I actually am. So I kind of expected something to be said in during confessionals, because during confessionals I was also asked like, how do you feel in the group? And I was like, I'm okay. But I knew, there had to be a reason why they asked me that, because I knew that, we are mic'd whenever we talk, that they can hear us. And also walking to the runway, I heard some whispers about like how I should be the one to go home because I did not fit in the group at that time. So now, before anyone watching, this is a long time ago. We talked about everything.
Mhm.
Everything is cleared up. I just want to be really honest and
Of course.
transparent. Um, so for me, like the confessionals where it was being said that I should go home was not based on what I did. It was just based on like, she's too quiet. She's not saying anything, which I get it. I was very quiet, but that was one due to the language barrier. Now, we also spoke English to each other, but bear in mind, episode 1 and 2, I was in the bottom. Like, how am I supposed to feel? Not on top of my game, that's for sure. So yeah, and then like with the when we were doing the rehearsals for the girls group, when they're like talking about, Chloe should take the lead, we do not hear them. They're not mic'd. Well, they are mic'd, but we do not hear them. So when they were saying that, we did not get any of that. But then also, like, for me to take the lead, I mean, you've just seen me dance on episode 1. Why would I be taking the lead?
With your 20 years of experience.
But that's the thing. I was like, does this not make sense? I've bombed. I've bombed. Why would you want me to take the lead?
It makes complete sense as a Drag Race viewer, being like, she's been beaten down twice now. She's been bottom two. Like, in my mind, if I started the season bottom two, and it was a girl group episode 3, I'd be like, let me do my part. Let me know, like, I'm gonna do what I need to do to be safe. All I want is to be safe.
And that's the thing, and especially because like Lulu said, okay, she said I'll take the lead, and I was like, fine for me, you do that, and then all of a sudden they were like, why was Chloe not doing it? And I'm like, well, I just wanted to do whatever you guys felt comfortable with. Whatever you were doing, I was fine with. So I was like, why should I take the lead? You were all there. You've seen me do whatever that was on episode 1. So
Whatever that was is a good way to describe it.
I mean, I would not be very keen to take the lead either if I was in the bottom two
no.
twice, because now you're giving me another reason to put me in the bottom and now send me home. So no, thank you. I'll step back.
It was logic to me, and I was surprised to like see all the confessionals. I was like, and especially because they had told me like episode 3, everyone is gonna love you, and I saw it and I was like, is this a fucking shit on Chloe show? It was during rehearsals, it was Chloe this, Chloe that, and then the confessionals, Chloe this, Chloe that, and who should be in the bottom, and I was like, I don't like this episode. Whoever told me I should love it, it's off.
No.
Yeah.
But you were in the top, so we were happy about that.
Yeah.
I was like, thank goodness.
I stood there and I was like, oh my God, am I in the fucking bottom again? You could tell from my face. I was like, I was not expecting to be safe or high. I was like, oh yeah, here we go again. That other
runway was so good. It just made up for anything else.
But the performance was good too.
Your runway, the performance was good. You were the best in that group for me. And then your runway was amazing. And I was like, oh, child. If y'all don't put her in the top, I don't know what to do.
To add on that runway, because that's something that I'm also a little bit like, I don't know what to think. You know, it's great that they show reality and that we trip and that they show it. But that same week on UK versus the World, when Marina is wearing that Elvis kind of underwater thing, she turns around and you can see that she's about to trip. And what do the cameras do? They go
pan away.
They cut it out. I've said it to production. I was like, this is what you're supposed to do with someone that trips. But then, you know, when there's that other YouTube review thing where they're like, oh yeah, she tripped and she ran on the runway. No, bitch, if you trip, you need to catch your feet back up. You know, it's a normal thing. And apparently they don't know how editing goes. But yeah.
It doesn't matter. That dress was too gorgeous for them to even look. They wouldn't be able to walk in it either. So whatever.
Oh no,
they wouldn't be able to walk in. But she looked amazing. So that's it. That's all. That's all. But then we move on to the next episode because
oh, the president thing. Oh god.
But also, this was like one of my favorite looks from you too. We just told Alvilda, had the conversation with her. I felt like in this runway produced 3 of my favorite looks and 3 of my least favorite looks of the entire season.
Yeah, I had to.
The Eurovision. I was like, it was Alvilda, it was Gabbana, and it was you. Gave me my favorite looks. What it was literally me screaming at my phone, like, "Oh my god, this is so good!" Like I don't really get excited like that, but those looks were so good that I was so excited about, and I felt like. I personally was like, this episode is so good. Like it was one of my favorite episodes for the runway. Even if the outfit that I didn't like, it made me feel something. So if I felt either like total elation, like I did for the 3 of y'all, or like ugh for the other ones I didn't like, I still felt something, and it was just good. I really enjoyed that runway. I think that was one of my favorite runways of the season.
And I love Nicole and Hugo as well. That's one of my favorite Eurovision entries.
Yeah.
So to see it, like, as a huge Eurovision fan, this whole runway, like I told Alvilda, but anytime there's a Eurovision runway, I'm always like geeking out because I'm like, what are they going to present? And when you came out, I was like, of course, especially because she had passed before or after taping.
She passed after.
Yeah.
Before. Sorry, before.
Yeah,
so
I was like, it was just before, I think, or something like. I'd seen something about it.
It was a year or something that she was wearing.
But I saw you walk out and I was just like, oh, but of course.
Yeah.
But of course. It's so good.
But
go ahead.
This was the episode though where you were called out by Rita for the
Yeah.
nude illusion. So I
Mhm.
wanted to know your thoughts on that, because you definitely heard us mention it a bit too, because nude
Yeah.
illusions are not my favorite. But what was the thought behind using that in your looks?
So the nude illusion was never supposed to be worn. Now I did take it with me because I was like, you know what, if I ever need it. And then especially so the actual design of what it had to be, the corset had to be a crossed over neck thing. So I would have been fine with wearing that without, because I'm not very comfortable with my upper body. And therefore I like to either always use mesh, because it just kind of creates like a little bit of a not naked vision, or I do that nude illusion. But when the corset came in, I saw that it did not have the neck situation going up. So I was like, okay, I have to, you know, it's my only option to put it on, because I was not going to do that. That was too much of a comfort zone.
Mhm.
It was a necessity in that moment, given you know the
Yeah.
situation you were in.
Yeah. Now I was called out at that moment, and I also replied to it, saying like, you know, I'm not comfortable enough with showing my upper body. I also talked about it in confessionals. I also talked about it the day after. So I was like, you know, they're going to keep it, and they're going to give me at least a bit of, you know, a storyline. You know, here she's struggling as well. She has some points as well. No, bitch, cut it all out. I was like, all right.
Yeah, I had no idea that that was a thing until David told us, and I was like, are we kidding? So why didn't we hear this? And now to know that you did say it in the confessionals, you did give a reply.
And I mean, I get it. My French is not great, and maybe it was too much work, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm pretty sure people can forgive me that they don't fully understand it. If other people can walk in and speak English and they could do French subtitles, I'm sure they could add some French subtitles for my story to make sense as well in French. But yeah, that's my opinion.
And it was this episode that I really started to notice that all of the workroom conversations we were getting mostly revolved around Alvilda, Levev, Lulu, and occasionally Morphe. And everybody else is just getting completely shut out of these conversations.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, were you involved in those?
Yeah.
Is there anything you wish that had made it to air from these workroom conversations?
There was one that I was really cringy about. Was it? I think it was episode 4, where we talked about like love. Was that episode 4?
I think so, yeah.
I believe
Yeah.
so.
Episode 4 or 5. So back then I was in a relationship, and I talked about that. Back then. So I was like, oh my god, are they gonna bring up the whole ex? I mean, we're fine, we're still friends, but I was like, oh, please don't, because this is gonna be like, oh man, just online, just so you know, I'm not in a relationship anymore. But I actually met my ex at DragCon. Yeah, so I had done that whole story. Obviously, for Mal Presents, it would have been very interesting, but for FTBF, no one knows what DragCon is, so I guess they cut it out for that.
Hey, it's not the worst thing in the world, I guess.
No, I was like, it's fine. So I talked about that. I also talked, not in the workroom, about my like shame on my upper body, and I talked about like how much of a stigma and stuff it still is. And then I also talked about like my hometown, how there's no drag there's no gay bars, nothing. So that. What else? I mean, so yeah, we often like talk back and forth, which is not to be seen.
I guess not. I don't want to keep going on and on and on about editing and production, so I won't.
I will say the one thing about that editing did that I enjoyed and that I thought was funny was, I guess, was doing a reading challenge, and everybody kept talking about how Chloe doesn't know what we're talking about, and so it doesn't matter what we say, and then the editing will go and show you like Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they said.
Chloe's not saying anything because Chloe doesn't know what we're talking about, and it was like,
Yeah, it was for me, for everyone there. It was very obvious what my storyline was going to be in the season, which was the one who does not understand anything.
Yeah.
Every confessional, every day they were like, "So about this, can you say that you don't understand?" And I was like, "Oh my god, again." And I mean, it was often that I didn't understand, but I was like, "How many times? How many times do you want me to say this?"
Right.
They know it by now. They know I don't understand it. It's not necessary to say it. But yeah, I think sometimes they get confused with me being actually stupid.
yeah, because they try to take that as Chloe's being dumb. Like, no, she
Yeah.
just doesn't understand what you're saying.
There was so they put a read or some reads on Instagram, and they put that read where wow. Why can I not come up with a name? Oh wow.
Argabana, Levev, Lulu,
Alvilda.
Alvilda. Okay.
The other one.
Shade.
The other one.
I erase her from my memory. No, when Alvilda says when she does a read to me and she says like, "Oh, about the breadcrumbs," and I don't know. Do you guys have that product, the duck product for the toilet?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So there's a toilet product to clean your toilet, and it's called toilet duck. If I
Oh.
translate it literally.
Okay.
Sure.
So in French they call it, I don't know, canard, WC canard, I don't know, but in
Yeah.
Flemish it's different again because it translates. And so when she was doing her read, she was saying that like I'm so stupid that I would be putting breadcrumbs at the toilet or something. I can't remember what.
Oh.
I did not understand it because I literally had no idea what she was saying. And someone commented and said, "Poor Chloe, she doesn't even know what that product is. It is something that you use to clean your toilet." I was like, I commented on it. I reacted. I was like, "Girl, I have it standing right next to my toilet. I know what it is. I just did not I did not hear what she was saying. It's not that I'm stupid enough to not know that that product is to be clean in your toilet."
You should have been like, how many languages do you speak?
Right.
Well,
You're coming at me.
I'm not going in too much, but I was like, wait, hold on. Please don't think that I'm stupid. I just did not understand because it's not my language.
Right.
Which you would think by now that they would understand, but some people still did not get it.
That's crazy.
So what did you think of being assigned the Ministry of Acceptance for a challenge that was supposed to be humorous? Because I said on the podcast, I'm like, how do you make this humorous?
I mean, if I would have thought about it longer, maybe I would have come up with something else. But I was like, acceptance of what? Maybe I should have taken a fun thing and just said like, this should be accepted, and then I should have gone more down that route. But for some reason, I was so stuck up with that idea of like, because back then in America, there were like a lot of bans going around about like stopping with drag shows and making drag shows for only 21 plus, but then it would have to be like with ticket sale and all that shit. So I had seen that going around, and then some clown who was following that news also started like talking about that here and putting it on social media. And like, yeah, he worked for the government. He now has a prison penalty, and he needs to pay a lot of money. So yeah, we're like, bitch.
Deserved.
But anyway, so I was so stuck up with that idea, and like I talked with Rita, and she was like, it's not really personal and it's not really funny, and I was like, okay, and I just could not come up with a different idea. So I just made it a little bit more personal and said like I want to do drag and I want to show my art form, but yeah, it was not great.
I mean, that was a hard one though. I
Yes.
wouldn't. It would have took me a long time to figure out how to make
Especially
it
within a minute.
right in a minute. Acceptance, honey.
And I'm very aware that I talk like really slow.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh wow, how am I going to be able to deal with that in a minute?
I didn't get to say it because I wasn't on the podcast for this episode, but my immediate idea, and I don't know how it would have translated, but my immediate idea would be flipping the script and like acceptance of straight people.
Oh yeah, that could have been
Because of like how everyone's like, we need to support gay people and gay people are so good. Like I think I would have gone, we really need to support straight people. There are some good ones. Like just take everything.
And it's not like they've had a choice.
Right. Yeah. It's not like, I mean, they were born straight. We can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
Like
that would have been great.
Yeah.
But you need to come up with it. And again,
of course,
you're in a pressure cooker, and there's a lot of people who would be like, I would have done that, and that's great, but at that time,
in that pressure cooker, I probably wouldn't have come up with that.
Honestly.
Like having reflected on it for as much time as I have, I was like, that would be a fun concept. But also, given everything you've already been through at this point in Drag Race, it's like I get it, but thankfully you were saved.
Yeah.
And in this episode, we do see this is where Morphe leaves the competition. Now, obviously, you had a bit of we heard what you had to say about Morphe earlier. How were you feeling in that moment watching her leave the way that she did for herself?
I never had anything against Morphe. The only thing that I had at that time was that I kind of had a feeling that she did not fully get me. So it was that. It was more like I can sense that she has an opinion about me, which is not fully correct. But I never had anything against her at all. So when she had decided to leave, we were talking, behind the scenes. And I said to her, I said, like, I do really hope, and I genuinely mean this, that I think you have such a creative brain. And I said, you have such great concepts, and I'm sure that a lot of people will really love you. And I said, I love your aesthetic, and please don't ever stop doing that, because her aesthetic was really torn apart at that time. But for some reason, like, I was telling it to her, and I could sense that she was not necessarily fully believing me. And I don't know whether that was true at that time or not. And that's really the moment that I was like, okay, this is getting to a point where I don't know anymore what I have to do. So it's when Morphe leaves, when she like does the mirror thing, we have to go somewhere else and wait. And that's when I talked to everyone, and I just said to everyone who was still there. And I said to them, I said, I've never had anything against any of you, but at this moment, I feel like you guys are creating an idea of me, which is not correct, because the only reason why I have not talked to you guys, or not as much, and have not been present as much, is because, I've been in the bottom episode 1, I've been in the bottom episode 2, then episode 3, I could hear some rumors about you guys thinking that I should be the one to leave. Like, how do you think? I'm not going to be holly jolly and like walking around. New episode, no. So
it's a new day in the workroom, and everything is better, and I'm great. Like, that's not going to happen.
But yeah, it's and I explained them, and they fully understood it. And after that, it was a whole different experience.
I love that.
So, okay, so the next episode, I have to. It was the roller skate one, roller skate runway,
and a whole new experience, because we saw you succeeding in a very positive way here as well.
Right, right. But I will say, I don't know if you saw the podcast that we did about this one, but I had never seen the roller skate runway before when they did it before.
We're like, why is she on rollers if
I'm like, if she cannot skate, why would she get on roller skates? Chloe, girl, what is happening? I literally watched you came out anyway,
I
and I
can
paused.
understand because you would also be like, she's been dancing for 20 years and she's
What?
doing it. It all makes sense.
Skate, like
It all makes sense.
She's a professional rollerblader.
rollerblader.
She's been rollerblading for 20 years. What do you mean?
Absolutely.
I mean, I was watching it with David, and I'm like, I paused it the second you came out. I was like, David, what is this? Why is Chloe on skates and she can't skate? She's wobbling. This is not my girl, like not Chloe. And David was like, Lana, did you watch the whole thing? And I was like, no, I stopped because I'm mad and wondering why Chloe is on these skates.
Yeah, no.
Like you should watch the whole thing. That's the thing.
I was so confused. I was like, they were all on skates.
Like, they're all on skates. I was like, what? He's like, that's the theme. And I was like,
did you want her to just walk out holding skates?
I would have loved if someone had done that.
Oh,
I'm not skating on these. So here you go.
I think I was walking out with skates on me, but it was so weird.
I think Morphe was not planning on.
Oh,
if I'm not mistaken.
That feels correct, knowing Morphe and her aesthetic.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think it would have. They would have appreciated it.
Did the brief said specifically when you got on the runways, it had to be on? Okay.
It was look on rollers.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. But I was so like flabbergasted.
What is happening?
I was like, what is happening? But then I watched the whole thing and I was like, oh, everybody can't skate, so that's great. That's great. And I was worried for you, Chloe. I was like, no.
I did not practice, and I'll tell you why. I was like, I've been dreaming to be on this show for a long time. I said, if you guys think that I'm going to practice and break anything and not being able to go into the show,
I understand.
I will struggle on that runway. I don't care. I mean, I looked 3 times left and right when I crossed the street because I was like, I don't want anything to happen. I'm not going to put myself on skates and try to skate for the first time.
Understood.
Yeah.
But you looked fabulous on the runway. Regardless of the skates, you looked great. But baby, I was so scared. I was like, nah, this is not how Chloe leaves, right? This is not the way they send her out with these roller skates on. But no, thank God.
Yeah, I also did not choose the most easy outfit, but
no.
It was beautiful.
If I'm going to struggle, I might as well struggle
gorgeously.
Yeah,
struggling gorgeously. Could you imagine if you had won Snatch Game that episode and then they were also like, well, so she broke her leg, so we have to disqualify her, but you still won Snatch Game.
Imagine.
Right. But speaking of this Snatch Game, Miss Chloe,
it was.
Where the fuck did this come from?
So I've always like with my family, back when my parents were still together and with my sister, we would always go to the movies. It was only that my mom hated it. She hated going to the movies. But it was that one exception every year, the movie 1, movie 2, movie 3, that we would be going all together to the movies. And I've always really loved anything science fiction, fantasy, but especially Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, all that kind of.
You love Tolkien, right?
Yeah, apparently.
Because you know who Tolkien is.
I didn't. That was not played. I've only seen the movies. I don't watch credits and like who makes it and stuff. I'm just into the characters and stuff. And I don't know. I've known for quite a bit that I could kind of do the voice. It's a lot more difficult in French for some reason. But I've always known that I could kind of do the voice. And then when we had the interview, they were like, you know, have you ever thought of like who you would do for Snatch Game? And I was like, I have an idea. Like, I know I can do someone's voice, but I'm not sure if that's going to be like okay for me to do because it's a character. And obviously due to licensed restrictions, let's say, I'm not sure if I can do that. And then it was like, Schmeagol. Which they call him Gollum, I mean, I get why, but in the movie he calls himself Schmeagol.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't get it. Like,
He's both. He has two identities.
yeah,
Yeah.
but he's Schmeagol
Sure.
Can we hear the voice?
now.
Yeah.
Wait. Wait, huh? In a while.
Sorry to put you on the spot there.
I always start with the we first because that's the.
Of course.
Yeah, if I do the high pitch, then it kind of brings me into. Oh, wait, oh God, what do you want me to say? Say
Very
something.
seriously. I don't know. My precious.
Yeah. Wait,
David, how dare you?
wait. Schmeagol runs its precious. Okay, kind of.
Okay, that's good
He
enough.
was good.
That's good.
You
There's
won Snatch Game. That's all you need.
There's
Yeah,
a very thin line between Schmeagol / Gollum and Stitch from Lilo and Stitch.
I've had people who say, like, you know, if you do All Stars, you should do Stitch.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's gonna work. But
Yeah, Disney might come for you.
who
But,
knows? Maybe I get a contract.
Absolutely. Maybe you'll be the next
Right.
Stitch, or a family member of Stitch. I don't know.
But
I mean, you were his sister.
true,
Yeah.
true. Which was so smart. And I want to know, like, how you felt it was going as you went along. And I want you to talk about Lana's favorite moment, and definitely one of my favorite moments.
The wig.
The wig.
The wig, which was also mine.
Alvilda's wig.
I've seen a lot of things like the minute she puts on the wig, and I'm like, yeah. So it was going okay. At the start, it was a little bit like still touching field, like not sure. Do I dabble in a lot more into like the typical character? But then I started noticing, like, okay, no, I need to go a bit more down the route of, okay, I am Goluma at this moment, but I still need to make sure that I'm interacting with the questions that are asked. And the wig part, so I can't remember the minute I was getting ready and the minute I like put them elf ears on and then that bald cap, which I know was glued down horribly for all the people watching. I am aware, but I was not, first of all, I was not sure if I was going to be allowed to do Schmeagol because I had still not had a reply whether it was okay or not for me to do it. And second, I was nearly 100% sure I was going to be gone before Snatch Game. So I did not bring any like the stuff to break it down so it melts more into your skin. So yes, it was glued down horribly. But the minute I was putting everything on, oh gosh, I was feeling the fantasy, but in a different way. And the minute I saw wow, Alvilda, Jesus Christ.
You really are just forgetting about her.
Oh, no.
Is she giving me that
Well,
money?
she has a message for you too. So.
Oh, well, she's not giving me that money.
She wants money from you, and also she has a spell for you.
Avada Kedavra.
Yes,
Yep.
you knew. You knew exactly what it was.
Of course, we've
Okay.
been saying that to each other the whole thing, 2 weeks. True.
I'm so excited for both of you to watch the other interview that we did with the other person because it's constantly like there's so many times where she's mentioned you and there's so many times where you're mentioning her and it's
Well, I'm trying to mention her.
Right. Can't even remember
You're
her
trying to
name.
mention her and forgetting her name.
Was she forgetting mine?
No.
That's the way it should be. Listen, she won the money. Okay, she's fine.
We saw the crown. Don't worry. Yes, we know she won the money.
I need to have something as well.
Yeah.
So what were we? Okay, yeah. And so the minute Alvilda was putting on that wig and she said like she was going to change, I felt so stupid, like in my character, and I was like, "Can I please have that wig when you take it off?" I said, "I'm just going to act a fool and put it on top of my head." But at some moment, and that was like the minute that I lost character and it did not show it. So I had like I just took an old wig from production. I was like, give me that wig, and I just cut it up, and I put the extra arm hair, and I was brushing it. Every now and then I was brushing it. I was like, whatever I do, every minute on here counts, because I know that they're not just looking at what you're answering, they're looking at, are you interacting? I said, so the minute I see that camera turning my way, even though it's for like Alpha that was in front of me, or even for Miss Frida Kahlo, I said they might have a glimpse of me at that time. So
it might be a wide shot where you're included. So we got to make sure. Yeah,
I need to be putting on that red lipstick constantly. I need to make sure that I'm laughing with them teeth that were like I don't know what. I need to be brushing my hair. I need to be stroking in my halting. And so I was brushing my armpit hair at some point, and I brush, and it all comes off.
Oh,
First thing I did, I was like, oh. And I pasted it on top of my head. All the cameramen started laughing. I lost I was lost at the time.
That's hilarious.
Oh gosh. I don't know if I laughed so much.
Obviously, they could not use it because, you're going to hear everyone laugh. It's not supposed to be. So,
Not laughing. Oh, I would have lost it. I laughed so much during that Snatch game with you. And I honestly, I've watched all these Snatch games this year, and I have not really enjoyed a lot of Snatch games. That has been my thing. And Logan and David have been like, "Oh, you should watch these Snatch games. They're so funny. These Snatch games are the, pinnacle." And I'm like, okay. And I started watching them, and I've not found a lot of them enjoyable. It's really, so when I watched, my bar for Snatch game was very low.
Because it was not a fantastic Snatch game whatsoever.
But it's funny because I can pick out people who just made me laugh so much. I told David, I was like, the Snatch game might not have been great, but Chloe cracked me up. And when you put that wig on, I lost my mind. I was like, I'm over it. I can't do this.
I think what I scored the most points with was exactly what I was saying earlier on, was not necessarily what I was answering with, but it was more about like, am I giving them enough footage to that they can always use something funny?
Your physical comedy was some of the best physical comedy I have ever seen on Snatch Game. And truly, I'm not saying this because you're here. Your performance in Snatch Game is one of my favorites of all time. Like, I will always remember you in this Snatch Game because it was just so dumb in the best way possible. Absolutely. And I really, like, from top to bottom, I was like, if it ended, and I'm like, if Chloe doesn't win this challenge, I'm going to scream. And then you did. And then you did. And I was like, so good.
After the runway, I thought that I was going to lose. So when we did the runway, obviously I could not skate, and I knew. But we can like follow each other, but on a small screen, and everyone's pasted on a screen. So I'm always like, yeah, it's fine. I'll see it later. And so I was like, this runway was horrible. And I had seen that Gabbana and Star did great. They could really like skate. So I was like, is my ass going to be in this bottom again? Because I could not skate. But at the same time, I was like, also, is this like a requirement for a drag queen to be able to skate?
No.
So it was, but I was like, oh my God, imagine if they're like, you did great on Snatch Game, but this was shit. So you're in the bottom again.
Based on this judging, it wouldn't have surprised me. But also, given the fact that earlier in this critique and in this episode, we saw this iconic moment.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well, that was a previous episode, but was that previous?
Yes, I don't remember.
They're reading notes on who they should say should go home and why. That's what they're doing right there. They named. No, I'm kidding. They both named you as somebody who should go home.
Oh yeah, that's right. Was that a different episode? I can't remember now.
It was a Snatch Game episode where they both named you as the person who should go
Yes,
home.
but it was episode 4 where they.
Yes.
I'm blurring everything together. I just needed to.
We just needed to use that.
I just needed to use it. I have the overlay. I want to use it.
I think this is already covered, probably. But
Yes.
if we want, so I can confirm.
You can be the third one to confirm.
The third, yes.
Now I will say, because I'm sometimes noticing that they're not saying everything. So I will confirm we all watched the notes at some point. The thing is, we watched the notes after the episode. So when everything already was done, they watched the notes in between the challenge and the runway, where we go up to eat, and everyone is, people are doing the lights, people are checking the camera, and they go and check.
That's what Alvilda told us. So you're the second person now to confirm that part of it.
Yes,
Gabbana didn't.
I know.
But Alvilda did. Alvilda did make sure to mention it with us.
I've seen her commenting on like Instagram stuff, and I'm like, bitch, that is not the tea.
That's only half of the story.
Okay, Gabbana, look, Gabbana, we see you sitting right in front of our faces and ain't tell us the whole story of wow.
What
we see you. We love you.
Says, there's not a whole lot on it.
Another thing that they blew out of proportions and was like, we're gonna mention this. That's all. I was like,
but at least they did something with it.
Yes.
Right.
They could have like actually not even done anything with it, because I would have not been surprised.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
But the next episode, you were on the Saks runway.
That's when I leave.
That's when we leave. This is when we lose you. But I still think your Saks runway was still good.
I like the runway.
Hold on. Let me say something about that Saks runway.
Please.
So the runway team was sexy, and it was a play on words from saxophone and sexy.
Yes.
Yep.
You tell me how many had actually a saxophone and how many are sexy.
Mm-hmm.
I would say at most 2.
Who?
You and Alvilda.
Do you think Alvilda was sexy?
I liked it. I liked that it was deconstructed. I thought the way that it was very like it was tight to her body. It was a silhouette we hadn't seen from her, and it was a little bit more sexy for Alvilda and what she had presented. So I would say so.
Not on the level of Chloe, though.
No, not at all. But that's the only other one for me that comes as close to saxophone and sexy, which is also just a stupid combination.
Oh yeah. When I saw it, I was like, "What the actual fuck?"
It was so good.
And especially, like, what are we ever going to do with that? I can never use that outfit anymore.
No.
What am I going to do? Can you play that sax that it is?
I was literally about to say, just perform Sax by Fleur East. You're good.
Yeah, but, like, to take that with me is a pain in the ass.
I wouldn't. But, like, in case you ever needed to perform Sax by Fleur East, now you have a garment to do so in.
Yeah. But, yeah, so the thing was, like, for me, I was the only one, to my personal opinion, that fit the brief perfectly. I'm not saying the rest wasn't great, not at all. But for me, it was sexy, and I had a saxophone, because the saxophone is also it has a certain
shape
curve.
Because the minute you turn it, it looks more like a horn to me. I don't know if that's how you translate a horn. Yeah.
Yes.
So for me, it was like, are we doing blow instruments or are we doing saxophone?
I mean, it was a couple that I was like, didn't fit the brief at all to me. So I was kind of like, I don't get it. But it was also the acting challenge.
Oh yeah, that was horrible.
A horrible acting challenge accident.
And the thing is, if you would ask me what I would be most excited about to do, it's an acting challenge.
Yeah.
I swear to God. But
probably in Dutch or English as opposed to French.
Yeah. I could not, and we've all seen it, I could not memorize one line.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Especially because you start, you have like 3 hours to memorize those lines. I already had no idea what I was reading. I know it was something about Cleopatra, and I was like, "What the fuck are we talking about Cleopatra?" I did. So when I saw the episode and I saw the subtitles, I was like, "Oh, that's what I was talking about."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in order for you to, first of all, have an emotion, like I did not know, was I angry, was I scared, was I
Yeah.
what, and also I couldn't not memorize one line,
Yeah.
so I constantly had to be like line, okay, and I just repeated it.
We heard all about that from Outfield.
Yeah.
It really reminded me of like the earlier seasons of Drag Race when they would cast the Puerto Rican queens, which I wish they would do more of. And it was that same sort of language barrier, just in a different country.
Yeah.
And so the whole time I was thinking it, and I'm pretty sure you were thinking it too, like, I'm gonna do the best with this role. There probably wasn't another role that, would have been better for you, and you probably had a good idea that you were, it was a little
the conductor, or the role that Lulu had, was smaller in a way, but I at least had that one part, and even that I fucked up. But anyway, where it was just like one word respond,
Right.
and that's why I grabbed for that one. But even that, like, I was getting so stressed about not having one line that I could remember, that even those one words gone. Bye. And they said, like, the judges said, like, we have the feeling that you gave up, and I was like, there was nothing to give up. I could not remember. So I mean, I can be hopeful and say like, oh yes, this is still going to be great, but I didn't remember the lines. So
yeah.
And
this is where we end up with your third lip sync, which was a song that I had been asking to see on Drag Race for a while. I was very excited when I saw it. How are you feeling going into it?
The first day we were asked, like, no, not from a production perspective, but someone who was like taking care of us the whole time there. He was like, "So what's your favorite song?" And I was like, "Oh, it's the one from Trust Fall. It's from Pink." And that was my favorite song. And so when that song was, I was like, "Oh, got this one in the bag, bitch. I know exactly what I'm doing."
Yeah.
Well, guess I in the bag.
And it wasn't a bad performance by any means of the imagination at all.
She got to take off her.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and we both, like, Lana and I were here for that episode. We both preferred you in the lip sync. I said I understood the result just because of track record. Like, it made sense being your third time.
I was also like, I was very curious to see the lip sync, because I was like, I know I didn't do a bad job, and I no offense to Lulu, but I had seen Lulu lip sync on episode 4, and I was like, how? I was like, I just want to see it. But at the end of the day, I was like, if it's track record, it's track record. I mean, there's not much to do about it. And on top of that, could you imagine if they would have let me through, and the next episode there is a non-elimination, and I would have been in the finale, which is a lip sync SmackDown.
Yes, I would have loved to see it, because you probably would have been top 2 of the season.
I mean, because your finale was
it would not have been. I mean, the people would not have been there for it. Do you get what I mean? The audience would have been, oh my fucking god.
We would have been the only ones being like, yes, Chloe!
Yeah. I mean,
no, it makes sense for sure.
Yeah. When the minute I heard that it was the top 4, I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. I fully understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, you guys are muting sometimes? Should I mute?
No.
No, you're good.
Oh.
It's just in case we have things going on in our background, which a lot of us do at any given moment of time.
Yep.
But yes, this is unfortunately where you go out in the iconic 5th place spot, joining a lot of other iconic 5th place queens.
I was just like, you know what? I won Snatch Game. I got the title of Lip Sync Assassin, which I think is, you know, I mean, it's correct.
I would say so.
It's correct in terms of like how many episodes there were and how many queens left. Yeah, well, it makes sense, but it's not like it was, you know.
Yeah.
Of that season, sure.
It was a very fair distribution of bottom 2 placements on this season.
Was.
Yeah.
So, because you were the only person to lip sync for your life 3 times on the season, I believe. Excluding the lip sync SmackDown at the very end, where obviously they rack up the
well, Lulu also had to do it 3 times.
Oh, it was 3 times. No, that is right. I forget the solo.
However, because I'm not letting go of my title,
Of course.
You
shouldn't.
The first one she did by herself.
That's what I would say, yeah.
Oh, and the third one she did not win. That was a double Shantae.
Correct.
So she only won 1. I won 2.
Yep.
Exactly.
I am taking what is mine. Okay?
You should. You definitely should.
So the only episode you were not in was episode 7. So I am curious, who was going to come be your loved one visit, and what was your concept for the design challenge?
So it was going to be a good friend of mine. Now my concept was not going to be mother-daughter because that was never the brief. The brief was family portrait. So my idea was to take a personal moment. So it was when I was little, I used to play with like my sister's toys. But my sister was always like, she would let me, but then when my parents would be around, she would like try to, you're playing with something else, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And not that my parents ever had anything against it, but it was just, you know, it's just I don't know, a reflector of my sister. And so I was gonna walk in like a toddler kind of dress with my friend also in a toddler kind of dress. So I was gonna be the sister or him. And we were both going to be in drag, but I was going to be like put in the girls' clothes that I, as a kid, could not play in. So it was going to be like a very personal moment.
Oh, I love that.
But yeah, it didn't. I was not a huge fan of the actual dresses because it was like a toddler. It's not something like super fashionable or whatever. But it was going to be like a checker one with a big skirt with big sleeves. And then with a huge bow in the hair, and then always with white. So one was going to be white and pink, and one was going to be white and green. I did not want blue because I did not want to play on like boy girl.
Makes sense.
Right.
Pink and green is a good color combination too, especially on makeovers. It feels like a lot of people that feels very common. So I love that.
And so I had a blonde and a brown wig that were the exact same, but just 2 different colors, and then the bows we would switch.
Cute.
So yeah.
I love that.
Nothing innovative, but just because it had a personal story, I was like, you know, it can work.
I love that. Yeah.
Just model, you know.
And then your finale look.
Yeah.
I love this. I really love this. I'm sure if you watched the coverage of the finale, I was gushing over this look because I thought it was so good, so smart, and I really felt like so you almost had like a place to perfectly put a crown.
I will have to disappoint you on that. That was not intentional.
Okay.
I've seen multiple people say that, but actually you cannot pin anything down on a hair because that is rock solid. Like,
good.
Tap on it. The thing is, and this proves that I've never done Drag Race Belgique to win. Because I was like, I'm never going to get that crown, but bitch, am I going to wear a crown as hair? I sure will.
As you should.
And yeah, so I never went in to Drag Race Belgique and be like, I'm going to win this. Never. But I was like, let me step out on it. And I did make sure that it was lip sync proof because we all know there is a finale lip sync. But I was like, listen, if I, for whatever reason, would be in the finale and I win, if they can't put the crown on it, then I'll just hold up the scepter. I was like, fuck it, you know? At that point, it won't matter. But yeah, it was never necessary.
Well, it looked like it, and it was phenomenal, and it was amazing. And I knew I was like, that dress is ready to come off. If the lip sync needs to happen,
Yeah,
the bottom was coming
you have
off.
to. You know, there's always a lip sync. You might not know that there's a lip sync SmackDown, but you know that
Mhm.
if you're for whatever reason in the top two, you will have to lip sync. So
Oh, really quickly, how? Because your makeup is always so dang good. It's always good. It was.
you
I want to know your makeup journey. Like, where did that? Did you just decide? You know what? I'm just go try this makeup thing, and just became so great at it.
so I had a few friends who already did drag. Now I did not learn like makeup wise from them. They put me in drag like once or twice. I fucking hated it because
Mhm.
I was a big fan of Drag Race, and I saw like people like who was on what season were we
It
on?
was
Oh,
Alvelda.
it was season
Alvelda.
9. It was season 9 where I was like, come on, like why can they look so good and we all look like shit here?
Mm.
And I'm talking about Flemish queens. Flemish queens, they all know. I don't read them, but they know that their makeup. They don't care. They
Yeah.
look garbage. They're like, yeah, but it's because there's a lot of light on the on 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 stage, and I'm like, yeah, but the rest of your body is white, so why would you go for orange on your head? It disconnect, you know.
Right.
For what reason?
Yeah, it's just it looks better on stage, and I'm like, no, it doesn't. But yeah, whatever. It's just because everyone's been doing it like that for years and years, and they just learn it from each other. So I was like, no way, I want to be looking like Valentina and all them on the season, and then
As you should.
that's when I really loved Aquaria, for an example.
I love
I'm a big
Aquaria.
fan of Aquaria. But also her makeup always looked really good. And I was like, okay, she has a little bit more of a square jaw, and so I was like, let me see what she does. I'm never gonna look like her, but I was like, let me see what she does. And then, then quarantine happened. So
Mhm.
I got in drag every 2 days, and every time I took pictures and videos, and I was like, okay, I like this, I don't like this. I like the
Yep.
way this looks. Okay, let me try this. And every time I would be like, okay, now this I like, this I didn't like. So I really took a journey and like, okay, I have a lot of time. Let me practice on my makeup and
Good.
see where I can get. I hated my makeup on the season
Oh.
because when I tell you that I started doubting everything right before before going on set,
Yeah.
I bought a ton of new makeup because I was like, oh, maybe this will not look good. Or maybe this is not gonna
It's
translate.
that inner saboteur, Chloe.
Oh God. I bought so much, and now when I look back, I'm like, why the fuck did I change anything that I was doing? Like I already blend everything. Like there's no reason for me to be scared. Um, but I guess if ever there's an All Stars, then I guess I'll have an immediate glow up.
Work.
Well,
Work.
that we were gonna ask, and I assume the answer would be yes, but you would do another season.
I would in English.
Absolutely.
If they would ever contact me for a France versus World, I'm putting that phone down myself. I'm like, no ma'am, no ma'am, no ma'am, no ham, nothing.
Yeah.
Holland All Stars?
No.
Fair. I get it.
To be honest, no. If they want me on another season, it needs to be an international one. And even I mean Holland versus World, they would never do. Say if they would do a third season for Holland, and if they would for whatever reason ask me, I would turn it down because I'm not.
It was mostly a joke on my
Yeah,
because it'll never happen.
there's people that have asked that were like, if there would be Holland, would you do Holland? And I'm like, no, I'm not. If I'm spending any more money, it's on an international one
Right.
where I can actually get something out of it. Because like press,
Yeah.
there's been no press.
Yeah.
So I mean, what we got out of it is not fantastic. I mean, I'm really happy that I did it, just for like myself more than anything, because a big self-doubter. And after that, I was like, you know what? I did that. I lasted until I could. I used to have a lot of critiques on like the songs I performed to, that like the audience would never get it, but we have a very strange and a lot older audience here in Flanders, Belgium. So I would always be the one, like, oh, you shouldn't perform that song because the people are not gonna like it, and then you notice that the audience is like very meh, and you start doubting about like your performance skills and stuff. And so I really needed to go in there, and I was actually happy that I managed to do a few lip syncs just so that I could prove to myself, like, you know what you're doing. It's just you did not have the audience for it. So I'm very happy with that. I'm very happy I got to join the family, let's say.
Absolutely. You're a Rue girl.
Yeah, well, they're always saying, like, oh, they're sisters. And I'm like, no, we're not. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yes, we're all sisters. But, like, I am not going to go up to, for an example, just because she's now coming to Brussels, I'm not going to walk up to a Sasha Velour and be like, oh, hey, we're sisters.
Right.
Yeah, but some people are delusional and are like, yeah, you're my sister. No, she's the one that I was watching that I was like, oh, she's great. Not all of us, they're peers.
We both just happen to be in the same Drag Race universe now.
On a completely different level.
On a completely different continent. Absolutely.
Continent and level.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing for me. It's sometimes people are delusional, and I'm like, it's not. No.
Use names. No, I'm kidding.
I don't know any names, but like you can tell who's like with DragCon and stuff. They'll be walking around. They're like, sister.
Oh, I've seen it firsthand.
That sounds like Plain Jane.
Well,
can I be honest?
Charles. Yeah. But the thing is, like, half of us don't follow each other. I mean, I follow a lot of them. Mm-hmm. But like, and then to go up there, DragCon, and be like, oh yeah, I've seen you in your season, sister. No, you don't care.
And obviously there is so much Drag Race happening too.
That's Plain Jane.
It is. We have it as a soundbite now.
Follow each other.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
For spilling.
I love that we have that soundbite. I was going to say, that's why I love queens like Angeria, who you were talking about earlier. Angeria is someone that, like, she did Drag Race, but she's also still a huge Drag Race fan and watches everything. And, like, I love seeing her specifically interacting with all the queens. Cynthia Lee Fontaine is another one who I think does a really, really good job at supporting her sisters from around the world. And I wish that more queens were like that, but obviously you're running your own business as a drag queen. Not everyone's going to have all the time to watch everything, but I love seeing the support that, and that's part of the reason why we love covering the international seasons of Drag Race as well, because we know y'all are not going to get as much press as the US are. Y'all are not going to get as much press as a lot of the other seasons do. And so we love covering it. And we've gotten a lot better responses. No shade to any other seasons. We've gotten a lot more positive responses from the franchises that not everybody is covering, because it is someone covering it, and we do our best to be real about the situation, but we want to uplift all of the drag voices, even though there's almost 20 franchises now. We do our best to uplift everyone as much as we can. So
yeah, it's for me, it's the same, but like I've watched nearly all franchises, not Thailand. That's just,
you should.
Missing out.
I know, but I need to improve their camera quality. I really, when I see it,
they're filming season 3 right now. I have faith.
It's going to be like with a revamp, so I'm sure.
So when we talk about Thailand season 3, we should expect you to be here with us talking about Thailand season 3. Yes.
Oh yeah, I can do that. Well, it depends if the camera quality is good.
Well, sure. But well, Chloe, we adore you so much. You were one of many bright spots on this season of Belgique for us. And I've told everyone we've talked to so far.
You had to
'Cause you're
look
pale.
pretty well for that bright spot, then, because
Well, because you're pale. So that's why
Yeah.
you're bright. The bright spot is because you're pale, of course, yes.
there you have
But we've said it with everyone that we've talked to, but truly, Drag Race Belgique season 2, I think, is one of my favorite seasons I've covered in a while, just because at the end of the day, you can tell that you're all professionals, you all care about what you're doing, and it's just damn good drag.
Yeah.
And
We love this
sometimes
cast.
I love this cast top to bottom, all of you it's just damn good drag. And that's sometimes all you really need to see on a Drag Race season.
Yeah,
So
I would have loved that we maybe would have had a bit more spice into the season. If I would have known what Marface said, or if she would have said that,
Right.
there could have been some interaction,
Right.
and I wouldn't have minded it. But yeah, no.
Yeah. But we appreciate you joining us here today. You are welcome back anytime to talk about anything Drag Race, and we would love to have you as much as you would like to be here with us.
Yeah, and I do want to tell people, if you're not following Chloe on social media, please go do it, because
Please.
she's so funny. Yeah, I don't think people really got your full personality on the show, and you're giving so much on social media. Your posts are so funny. I don't have TikTok, but I've seen some of them, and they're very funny. So keep it up,
So
and
good.
I hope that you really grow your base, because you deserve it.
Thank you.
And go jump in on Chloe's lives like I did, because I just love jumping in on the lives when Chloe's on live. Like,
Oh yeah, on Instagram.
Instagram,
Yeah.
I
I've
always
done
jump
that
in.
too.
I just jump in
They're
and
always
say,
when I'm in the middle of work, so I can't jump on. I see them happen, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's
wow.
the time difference.
Yeah. Yeah. But we appreciate you, Chloe, and yeah, that's what we've got. So please go follow Chloe, like David said. Go support this fabulous individual. And while you're at it, support us too, because we're great and we're lovely and we're doing all of the drag things all the time. So make sure to subscribe, like, and share on your way out if you have not already. Subscribe to everything else we've got going on everywhere. All of our links and Chloe's links will be down in the description below, including our social medias, all of our individual social medias. Chloe, if you want to send me your merch link, I'll put it in the description below as well.
Yep.
And you can also get our merch as well, including but not limited to cup mug. With that being said, we're going to get out of here. Cheers, Chloe.
Cheers, Chloe.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
My precious.
I can't do it. I'm not even going to try to do it. I don't.
I am not either.
No.
Mama kudos for saying
No.
spillway.